One powerful truth that I have learned from this pandemic is that having more time to ourselves does not make us happier. Maybe you like the idea of using Zoom or attending home-based learning. Okay, but because you don't need to travel all the ways across Singapore for lessons or meetings, you cut down on traveling time and you get to sleep more, isn't it? Okay, but I realize that however more efficient our lives has become, the fact of the matter is that we do not find our lives becoming happier and more satisfying during this pandemic. In fact, okay, I feel that many of us are feeling a lot more down, discouraged, and maybe depressed through this pandemic. A few months ago, the news posted this article. It says, guarding against pandemic fatigue in Singapore's COVID-19 fight. Pandemic fatigue, as defined by psychologists, is a feeling of exhaustion from the changes that the pandemic has brought about. Okay, so some symptoms, maybe some of you have the symptoms, so check it out. Some symptoms of the pandemic fatigues are anxiety, irritability, you get irritable easily. Insomnia means you can't sleep, and lethargy. Lethargy is like, wow, no feels, yeah, I don't do anything. And it's ironic if you think about it, because through this pandemic, even though all of us, we have more time to ourselves, we have a lot more time, but the fact of the matter is that our lives do not become more fruitful. Instead, we would rather waste our time away at home. Is that right? Right? I was talking to somebody recently, and this person said that he spent all his time watching anime at home, right, instead of doing something productive. I'm no psychologist, but I'm convinced that it is more than just a psychological problem. It is a spiritual problem. Okay? And the fact of the matter is that all of us, whether you are Christian or not, we are created to live in communities. Our lives are not supposed to live independent of people, but instead interdependent with them. Okay, and that's why God gave us a church. Okay, we gather together as a church, not just because we have a mission to do, not just because we have a job to do together, but it is through the church that we can find what we really need. Okay, any child psychologist will tell you that a wholesome family is crucial to the overall growth and development of a child. And likewise, we can only mature in our spiritual growth when we participate in God's family, the church. So guys, help me out by telling the person beside you, my church, my family. Okay, and this is why we place such a strong emphasis on our weekly Wednesday cell group and our Saturday youth service. Right? We are eager to bring everybody back quickly and safely. Okay, to us, it is more than just a social event. It is a spiritual gathering. Okay, but being present for our weekly gathering is only one half of what it means to be a spiritual family. The other half is to participate. So to be present and to participate. Okay, and we participate in this spiritual family by serving one another. Okay, that's what we want to talk about today. Okay, today at the end of my message, I'll be making some exciting announcements about some members who have chosen to step up as leaders, okay, in the areas that they are serving in. Okay, we'll save the best for later. Okay, but before that, I want to talk to you. Okay, I want to talk to all of us about why we should serve one another. Okay, and is serving just personal preference? Is it just meeting a need in church? Okay, to answer that question, we are going to read a passage, a story, okay, in the Bible found in Matthew chapter 20. Matthew chapter 20? Yes, starting from verse 20. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons and kneeling down, asked a favor of him. What is it you want? What is it you want? He asked. That's Jesus. She said, grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other on your left in your kingdom. Next slide. Yeah. You don't know what you're asking, Jesus said to them. Can you drink the cup I'm going to drink? We can, they answered. Jesus said to them, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right and or left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. When the 10, that's referring to the disciples, heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Jesus called them together and said, you know what the rulers of the Gentiles lord, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Okay, today from this passage, I want to share with you 3 reasons why we should serve others. Okay, the first one is this: we serve one another because of Christ's instruction. Okay, this story starts with a very puzzling request, right? It's a very unusual request. So let's read that very quickly once more. Verse 20, then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons. Okay, these 2 sons are disciples of Jesus. And kneeling down, asked a favor of him. What is it that you want? Jesus asked. She said, grant that one of these 2 sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. Okay, what's that all about? The disciples thought that Jesus was going to overthrow the Roman government, and he is going to set himself up as the new king of Israel. So the 2 disciples, they were trying to jostle for position. They all wanted to be in the exco of Jesus' kingdom. They wanted his glory. Right? In fact, these 2 disciples, whom we know is James and John, they activate their ulti. They use their ulti. They send their mother to come and talk to Jesus and meet the parent session. Oh, please let my son join the exco. Right? Send their mother to come and make a special request to Jesus. And interestingly, Jesus did not scold them, right? He did not scold them for trying to secure glory or accuse them of being prideful. I mean, guys, if next Monday you go back to school and you stand in front of all your CCA members and you loudly declare to them, I want to be the next president, how do you think they'll respond? Siao, right? I'll say, this guy, something wrong, right? It's so arrogant. Right? And essentially, this is what the 2 disciples of Jesus wanted to do. Okay, but Jesus affirmed their desire for greatness. But he told them that the way to greatness is not by going up, but by going down. Okay, let's read that. Verse 26. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Okay, Jesus uses 2 Greek words here to describe what his followers ought to be. The first word is diakonos. Everybody say diakonos. Okay, diakonos is best translated as servant, as we have seen this English translation over here. But during the time of Jesus, diakonos refers to somebody who does lowly jobs, okay, meaning jobs that nobody wants to do. Okay, today maybe our equivalent will be washing the toilet, maybe. And Jesus was saying that if you want to be his disciples, you serve others. You do the job that nobody wants to do. You serve others in humility, not for glory or honor. If you think that's bad enough, Jesus then used an even stronger word, doulos. Everybody say doulos. Okay, doulos means slave, right, as translated here. A slave serves without any expectations. He does not expect to be paid. He does not expect to be honored. He does not expect to be appreciated. He does not even expect to be noticed. He just do his job faithfully, and he does not expect people to even look at his work. And Jesus said, that's what it means to be my disciples. We are commanded to be servants and slaves. Okay, at this point, you might be thinking, okay, that doesn't sound very encouraging. I thought we are all children of God, right? Christians are children of the Most High God. How are we slaves? Here's the key, guys. When you make the decision to become a Christian, right, as many of you are, when you make the decision to become a Christian, you receive a title and a job description. You all know what is a title and job description, right? Right? When you become a Christian, you receive a title and a job description. Your title is a son, S-O-N, son. Right? You will inherit God's inheritance. And your new job description is servant. Okay, many people give many reasons for not serving. I'm too busy. I'm not good enough. I only wake up at 3 p.m. on weekends, so I cannot come at 12:30. My home is too far. I need to go out with my friends. Whatever your reason is, when you don't serve, if you're a Christian, you are living in disobedience. Okay, you have failed to report for duty. You are defying a clear command of Christ. Right? You may be calling Jesus your Lord with your lips, but really you are the Lord of your own life. Okay, you are selfishly, when you choose not to serve, you are selfishly wanting others, you're selfishly expecting your brothers and sisters to serve you, make you feel good, take care of you, but you are refusing to lift a finger to serve anyone else. You see, guys, we are so influenced by the messages in our culture, right? In the individualistic message in our culture, that our culture keeps telling us, be yourself, you do you. It's all about you. Don't let anybody else tell you how to live your life, right? We see that in TikTok, we see that in YouTube, we see those messages all the time. Okay, we have been so shaped by those messages that we rather be served than to serve others. And Jesus is telling us today, not so with you. Tell your neighbor, not so with you. Okay, not so with you, not so with us. You turn the values of the culture upside down. Then you become a servant, you become a slave. You put others before yourself. Okay, that's Christ's instruction to us. Okay, but that's only the first part. The second reason why we should serve is because of Christ's demonstration. You see, for those of you who are Christian, if you believe that Jesus is God, then actually he does not need to say anything more, isn't it? If he is God, if he gives you a command, we ought to follow without any questioning, right? Okay, but Jesus did not just stop there. He did not just stop as giving us a command. Okay, he demonstrated it himself. He chose to walk the talk. Okay, verse 28, this is what Jesus said, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. Okay, now the Son of Man is a term that when you read through the first 4 books of the New Testament, the Gospel, you'll see that the Son of Man was a term that Jesus frequently used to describe himself. Right? And at first look, you might think as if you might interpret Son of Man as a son of a human being, right? But actually, to the original listeners who were Jews, this term, Son of Man, carried a far more significant meaning. It was a hint to who he really was, because the term Son of Man was taken straight out from the Old Testament. So when the Jews heard that Jesus called himself Son of Man, they immediately know what he is talking about. Okay, so let's read the part where this term is taken from, found in Daniel chapter 7. In my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was one like a what? Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and peoples of every language worship him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. So to the Jews who are super familiar with the Old Testament, when they hear Jesus calling himself a Son of Man, immediately they will think of Daniel chapter 7. So who is this Son of Man that Daniel saw in his vision? Okay, there are 2 things we know about him. Firstly, he was with God, right? Over here, God is described as the Ancient of Days. This Son of Man was in his presence. And secondly, Son of Man over here, he is supreme. He has ultimate power, glory, and authority. So this is not an ordinary person. We are talking about a transcendent being. And who is this Son of Man exactly? Jesus said, he was the one. He was the Son of Man that the Jews has been looking forward to. He was King, he was Lord, he is God. But that's not the most staggering thing. The most staggering and mind-blowing claim that Jesus made was that this Son of Man, the greatest being in the universe, came, humbled himself to become a lowly servant. the Creator, have come to serve his creatures. He has demonstrated service to us. Now, if you think about it, if God has set us an example for us to serve others, okay, there is no other inspiring example we will need. Okay, our problem is that oftentimes we forget, as Christians, right? We forget just how big God is, right? We read the Bible, yes, he's a creator, he's the Son of Man, but we can't see God, right? A lot of times when we tell people, we can't see God, I can't feel God, I don't know how to know him or worship him. How do we make sense of what the Bible tells us about him? Okay, and for me, I don't claim to have seen God before. Of course, I've heard pastors saying that they have seen Jesus in person before. I've never heard the audible voice of God before in all my Christian life. Okay, but I'm convinced. I know that he is real. Okay, but of my favorite angle, my favorite way to try to at least begin to appreciate how big God is through astronomy. Okay, anybody like astronomy here? Okay, I love to read about astronomy. Okay, this is my way of trying to understand just how big our God is. Okay, let me share with you. Do you all agree that Earth is big? You all agree that Earth is big? I mean, it's quite big, right? It's quite big. I don't think I can ever visit every country in the world, right? But, and I know if you look at this, you might think that, hey, Earth is not quite big. Okay, but actually, to us, at our level, Earth is really big. How big do you think the sun is? Do you all have any idea? Have you read this before? Okay, here's an illustration to help us understand the size disparity between the sun and the earth. So the sun is there, the earth is somewhere there, right? And in terms of volume-wise, you can fit 1.3 million earth into the sun in terms of volume. Right, so this is how big the sun is compared to our Earth. Okay, how many of you, who can tell me what is the galaxy that we are in right now? Milky Way, very good. Do you think Milky Way is big? Do you think Milky Way is big? It has to be, right? If the sun is so big, Milky Way has to be even bigger, right, to accommodate it. Do you know that the Milky Way is not the only galaxy in the universe? You all know that, right? How many galaxies are there in the universe right now? Anybody know? How many? Okay, according to a 2016 research, there in the observable universe, okay, observable means what we can see with our telescope. In the observable universe, it is estimated that there are 2 trillion galaxies in the universe. Okay, meaning if one day we can have a more powerful telescope, we can see even further, right? But with the current technology, we are able to see 2 trillion galaxies. Okay, and the largest known galaxy in the observable universe is this galaxy called the IC 1101. Okay, here's an illustration to help you understand just how big IC 1101 is. So there's IC 1101, and somewhere there's one dot over there, that's Milky Way. That is the largest known galaxy in the observable universe. Okay, and this IC 1101 is 1 billion light years away from Earth. If you think that Singapore is just a dot on Earth, right, just a dot on Earth, the Earth is just a dot in the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is just a dot compared to the IC 1101. Okay, that's just how big our universe is. Right, just now we were singing, right, all the universe. Just now we were singing the second song, right, King Above Kings, all the universe was saying. Okay, we have no idea just how big the universe is. This is just the biggest known galaxy. Right, it's so big, the universe is so big that it's so difficult to even wrap our minds around it. And you know something? The God you just worship is so much bigger. Right? The God that you just worship is so much bigger. He is bigger than the universe. In fact, He created the universe. So when Jesus said that the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, He was really saying the creator of the vast universe, the creator of IC1101, the 2 other trillion galaxy, has descended down to Earth, wherever Earth is, right? He has, the creator of the vast universe has descended down to puny Earth to serve his creation. Can you understand? Start to begin to appreciate the significance of that. Right? He was supreme, but he became a servant. He was exalted over all of universe, but he took on the form of a slave. He was the God of glory, but he was stripped naked and put to shame. He was the giver of life, but he hung on the cross to die. He was worshipped, but he chose to put that aside, to take on your pain, your shame, your guilt, okay, and to suffer at the hands of the people he created. Okay, in John chapter 13, Jesus said this, right? Jesus, the Son of Man, the creator of the universe, he said this. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for this is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, okay, washing feet was considered diakonos role, only reserved for the lowest slave. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I done for you. Tell neighbor, example. Right? The Son of Man, he has set an example for us. Okay, whenever we think that our own stuff are too important, when we think that we are too scared, too lazy, or too busy to serve others, okay, we need to remember the example of Christ. Okay, this is how the kingdom of God works. The Creator became a servant. The King himself became a slave. And Jesus is calling all of us, his followers, to follow his example. And that's why, guys, that's why we serve one another, because of Christ's demonstration. Okay, the third and final reason why we should serve is because of Christ's redemption. Okay, once again, Jesus could have just stopped there, right? He is God. He could have just given us a command and that's it. He could have just said that I have demonstrated to you guys. I have shown you what it means to be a servant, but he stopped there. But he went one step further and he said something that totally was not expected to his followers. Okay, and he said that the Son of Man, remember the Creator, came to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Okay, the word ransom, okay, maybe you watch in certain shows like Taken, right, by Liam Neeson. Ransom is a technical word. It is the money that you pay to set a captive free or hostage free. And back in the time of Jesus, a ransom is what you pay to buy and set a slave free. Right? So you pay a ransom to buy and set a slave free. So the act of buying and setting the slave free is called redemption. Okay, you pay a ransom in order to redeem a slave. So what does it mean when Jesus said that he gave himself as a ransom for many? Okay, what Jesus was trying to point out, and what we Christians don't usually understand, is that all of us, we are slaves. Right? When Jesus said he gives a ransom for many, actually he's trying to allude to the fact that all of us, we are slaves. Slave to what? We are enslaved by sin. Okay, let me ask you. Whenever you choose to sin, whenever you sin, is it because you choose to sin? Whenever you sin, like do something wrong, is it because you choose to sin? Some of you shake head, some of you, not sure. Okay, you might think that you are exercising your freedom to sin, right? Whenever you think you did something wrong, you might think that you are trying to you exercise your freedom to sin. But the truth is that all of us, we are controlled by our own sinful desires. Okay, let's try to understand this, okay? Let's take smoking, for example. When a person with smoking addiction smokes, is he exercising his freedom? What do you think? When a smoker with smoking addiction smokes, is he exercising his freedom? In a sense, yes, right? He's the one, nobody forced him. He thinks he is doing what pleases him. But in reality, the truth is that he cannot stop himself. He is controlled by his addiction. Right? And because of his smoking habit, he and his loved ones are going to suffer all the consequences eventually. This smoker is enslaved. Right? He's enslaved by his addiction. He's destroying himself. A truly free person is somebody who has the ability to choose not to smoke. And that's the problem with our addiction, right? We think that we are having a lot of freedom, but the fact is that the more an addict exercises his freedom, the less freedom he really has. Okay, and the truth is that all of us, we are addicts. We are addicted to sin, right? Sin is in control of our lives. We are not in control. Okay, sin may give us some pleasure, but the consequences of sin is destructive, both in this life and the next. Okay, we cannot help sinning. And here's the thing. We are not sinners because we sin. We are not sinners because we sin. We sin because we are sinners. Okay, we are not sinners because we sin, right? You did something wrong, you're a sinner. We sin because we are sinners. We are sin addicts. We are enslaved. And that's why now you begin to understand when Jesus said he came, the Son of Man came to give his life as a ransom. Because sin is so harmful to us, and because the only way for us to be delivered from slavery is for Jesus, the perfect man who came to pay the price for our sin. And the only ransom that is sufficient to set us free from sin was his blood. He paid with his life. By dying on the cross and paying the price that we deserve to pay, Jesus broke the power of addiction, of sin's addiction over our lives. I know many of you during this Cultivate Plus will be thinking about, I still find it difficult to read the Bible. I still find it very difficult to stop sinning. Does it mean that we will no longer sin as Christians? Okay, of course not, right? But it does mean that now we have a choice. Right? Now, sin has no power over our lives. Okay, we can exercise a choice. We can decide whether to continue to live our life in sin or to use our freedom to serve others in humility. Okay, I know today in our modern individualistic culture, the word duty and obligation are very negative words, right? In fact, a lot of times when we pray, we tell God that, God, I want to serve you out of joy, not obligation, right? So whenever we think about duty and obligation, very negative in our culture today. But you know something? Duty and obligation are perfectly right and sometimes beautiful. Okay, I just want to end this with an illustration while I invite the worship team to join me. Okay, let's try to understand this, okay? Let's try to imagine this illustration. Suppose two friends, right, two buddies, two BFF, go to fight a war together. One of them get captured by the enemy. Just as the enemy was about to execute the friend, his best friend risks his life to rescue him, but is himself killed in the process. The war ends, the surviving soldiers return home. He gets back to his normal life and soon becomes a prosperous businessman. He received news one day about his dead buddy's family. The widow is struggling to make ends meet with trying to support 4 children. In fact, they are so poor that the children can't even attend school. If you are the person who have been saved, if you are the person whose buddy gave his life to save you, what will you feel? Will you feel that you owe a debt to your dead friend to do something? Will you feel so? Will you feel that you owe a debt to this person? You would, right? Yes, legally you don't owe a debt, right? Legally, you're not obliged. The law is not forcing you to do something for the widow. But if you don't feel a moral obligation, if you don't feel a sense of moral duty to help his family, I think many of us will have very nasty things to say to you, right? That you are ingrate, you are cold and heartless person. Okay, guys, that's why we serve one another, right? Not just because it is a command to do. Not just because we have an inspiring example to follow. We serve one another because we understand what Christ has done for us. That He has come, the Son of Man, across the entire universe to rescue us, set us free. And now, we are under a moral obligation. We are under a moral duty to serve others. And guys, if we still refuse to serve others because of our selfishness, then something is really wrong with us. Okay, let me close with this. Okay, once we understand that Christ is the reason for serving others, right? Serving, whatever that we are doing here, in service or in our cell group, becomes not a chore or a burden. It becomes a joy. The Most High King, right? The King of the universe, He came down and became a servant for you. He sacrificed Himself to set you free so that you will follow His example. And that today you will use your freedom to humbly serve others in love. Come, shall we stand on our feet? It's so easy to just hear a message like this, be wowed by the facts, and just walk away. So all over this place, shall we just begin to lift our hands? All the Christians in this place, shall we just begin to lift our hands? Let's begin to just respond to God. Let's begin to just thank God. Let's begin to just be reminded of how big our God is. Let's begin to thank Him and say, God, I thank You. That Lord, even though I'm so undeserving, I'm nothing, that You sent Your Son to come and rescue me, oh God. That You came to show Your love. You demonstrated love. For those of you who feel that you have been far away from God, this is the best time. This is the best time to respond. Wherever you are, let's begin to lift our hands. Let's begin to tell God, God, You have crossed the entire universe for me. I want to take that step towards You. And guys, that is the kind of prayer that God would love to respond. Where we say that, God, I want to draw near to You. I want to respond to Your love. I want to love people like how You love us. Those are the kind of prayers that God would love to respond. So let's not just waste this time away. Just in our own place, why don't you just begin to just pray to God right now. Just tell God, God, I want to know You. I want to connect with You. I want to respond to You. And Jesus, I want to live my life in response to what You have done for me, oh God. Jesus, we thank You. We ask that today, even as we come to this, we come to this place of response, that God, You will just become so real to us, oh God. I pray that God, we will not just know You with our minds, but Lord, right now, wherever you are, Lord, You just begin to encounter us right now, oh God. And Lord, we just want to tell You that we want to live our life in response to what You have done for us. That You came, You demonstrated love. You have redeemed us, oh God. You have set us free. And today, God, we want to use our freedom, worship You, and love the people around us, oh God. Thank You, God. In Jesus' name we pray.